Bleach Clothing is coming to GPO, and this has been in the waiting for a long time. Benir promised Bleach Clothing very long ago. It was supposed to come out, I believe, update, the Valentine's update or update 4. I could be wrong, but I don't remember. But supposedly he has been reworking it. He said that he wanted to, it's late, and he said as well that he reworked all the Bleach Clothing, he remade them, and it's going to come out. And so this is very good because we're getting more clothing. I've made a video in the past talking about the clothing. We need more clothing, as Benir has been talking about creating a clothing store in the GPO, as in the game, in a couple of islands. Like, you can go to a clothing store and buy yourself some drip, because currently all NPCs have a better clothing than us. Like the sculling, like armor, NPCs have better clothing than us. Like, go to the desert island, right, or Alabasta. You'll see that the NPCs in Alabasta have like 10 times better clothing than the default clothing we have in the character customization. It's like, why? How can the NPCs have this high quality clothing but we can't? So we have to only rely on armor, like, you know, the stuff like the Kraken's armor, the Karuta, and we have to rely on the, you know, Cupid Queen's outfits and stuff like that. You have to rely on the jesters and all that stuff, and just all event items, clothing, and boss drops. And most boss drops don't have clothing, and most clothing come from either Krakens or Sea Beast, or they come from events. And so, to begin with, most clothing currently that people use in GPO is mainly armor. So that's a problem, because the default clothing should be, you know, toggleable and, you know, disableable. And by that I mean you should be able to disable and toggle on default clothing on top of your stuff, which you can do, but I mean, like, by clicking the vanity on and off option. But still, it doesn't look good enough. If it looked good enough, I believe people would not be using an armor, because the Kraken armor, to be honest, it's pretty ugly, especially the red one. The blue one at least is, you know, decent, but over time it's gonna become boring because we're used to seeing it. Personally, what I believe is you should be able to buy clothing. It could be anything, just very high quality clothing for Pellet, because currently Pellet has no use. So what better way to make some, you know, clothing stores? Just put them around every island. You're giving more content in the island as well, because there are certain islands that have literally nothing on them. They're just straight up empty, like maybe a couple of buildings, and that's it. Like the entire, you know, this gigantic island has nothing on it. So you'd be not only benefiting by placing stuff in empty islands, which will make them less empty, and have people go around, you know, go to the islands that have these clothing stores and buying them. People will be using their Pellet, because currently Pellet is not used for nothing. People usually trade Pellet to, you know, for some reason, you know, I don't know why people use Pellet. There's literally zero use for Pellet. Everybody that's max level has maxed out Pellet and just doesn't use it at all, unless they're just buying wood. But the wood is super cheap, you know, so it's like, who cares, you know? To max out your wood capacity, you have to be like, it's so cheap that it's like you regain all the money anyway by doing, you know, just regular stuff. So that's what be a good, like, make the clothes pretty expensive, not super expensive, but make it like expensive where people can actually get to use their Pellet. And so yeah, that's what I believe would be the right decision, and so people don't buy out the entire store as soon as it comes out. And so you can make it pretty pricey per, you know, clothing, so people don't just buy everything, and they can, you know, choose, you know, wisely instead, and you don't have to constantly make new clothing for them, and so you can have more time between them. But the clothing store was only a suggestion from Benir. It was not actually, you know, an idea. He was just talking the video. He was just discussing it with a couple of developers, and he may have forgotten it. He may not be making it. It was just a discussion they had a very long time ago, similar to the Battle Royale mode, where they were discussing Battle Royale, but it never went anywhere, and we haven't gotten any sign of any Battle Royale yet, and people are still waiting. crazy. But yeah, these developers sometimes just discuss certain things. They make it sound like there's coming, but in reality they're just discussing it, or they never intended it to come out to begin with. Check out the video I made yesterday. I was talking about something, and I think it was something about Cupid's Dungeons.